Good morning, actors and actresses. It's Louise here from Standby Method Acting Studio. Firstly, just want to apologise that we're 10 minutes late in starting. We just had a few little technical issues of getting onto the internet, but here we are, and you're still going to get the full 30 minutes. So what is today's live video all about? Well, we're going to be talking about psychic actors, which, believe it or not, is not an actor who can predict the lottery numbers, although that would be lovely, I'm guessing. No, it's actors who turn a little mystic Meg in scenes. So actors who lose their focus and start preempting reactions before the reaction is needed, or before the response has been given to the actor for them even to be able to respond to it and to react to what they're supposedly going to be given. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to be giving you two fantastic method acting tips. And they come from two very different practitioners. One of them comes from Sanford Meisner, and it's an amazing tip. And it's just changed so much for so many of my students. And I'm going to share with you a little story about one of my students who would go in planning what she was going to do in scenes, and how his technique has just stopped her doing that and has made her acting so much more powerful. And then the other tip, or technique, sorry, comes from Lee Strasberg. And I've used this one, well, I use them both myself in my own acting, but I've used this one myself before, Lee Strasberg's technique. And I mean, the feedback that I got from my director when I was doing a show quite a few years ago when I used this technique was absolutely phenomenal. And I was just like, oh, wow, but if only you had an idea of what I was doing, what I was using to keep that focus, then obviously that would break the illusion for the audience. So yeah, so these are those two things, a Lee Strasberg technique and a Sanford Meisner technique. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you today, to stop you preempting reactions and responses before they've happened, and to make sure you're laser focused in a scene. And you know, it's natural for actors to lose concentration in scenes. We all do it at some point because we're human, you know. But these techniques are going to help you get back on track. So what I want to share with you firstly, this might seem a little bit random, but yesterday I went horse riding and it was absolutely amazing, and I highly recommend it for all actors. It was just good to get another skill for those sort of like period dramas that you may want to put yourself forward for, things like Game of Thrones, that sort of stuff. The animals are amazing to observe for being in the moment. I mean, they don't preempt anything because obviously they're just living life as it's happening. They don't have the ability to think like we do consciously. So as I was horse riding yesterday, I was on this beautiful horse called Connie, and as we know, horses are easily spooked by things. And she heard a noise, a really loud noise, and all of a sudden she just stopped, looked around, thought it may have been a threat, wanted to assess what was going on to then decide how she should respond based on that. When she figured out it wasn't a threat, the noise wasn't happening again, she carried on, and we carried on our little trek. And this is what actors need to be doing in their acting, in their scenes, in rehearsals, at auditions, is reacting to things as they are happening there and then in the moment. But too often what happens is an actor is already pre-planning a moment whilst they're in a previous moment. So they're planning ahead. And what this does is it means that you lose your spark. It means that you're not completely in the moment. So if something is offered to you, which we call a gift, the likelihood of you responding to that is very low, because you are inside your head pre-planning what you're going to do in the next few moments, or how you're going to say the next lines. So where does this come from then? This is really important to understand before I share these tips with you. And it comes from tension, and it's usually mental tension. It's mental tension that stops actors being in the moment. And that's why in the method, relaxation is the most important thing for us. It's the foundation of the craft. If we're not relaxed, what happens is we're tense in the scene, because whatever is going on mentally is reflected in our body, because our minds and our body communicate with each other. Jackie says, hi Louise, a bit late, but hi, I'm here. Hello Jackie. It's nice to, I would say, see you, but it's nice that you're online with us. So yeah, mental tension then. That's the thing that stops us being in the moment. Now, what we do in the method is we spend a full hour in all of our classes relaxing, and we get our minds and our body to communicate with each other, because we want that to happen in the scene. We want our imagination to be working, and our imagination is literally a series of images or words, and our mind only ever works in words or images. So when we're focused and we've got either these words in our mind or these images, well, our body will respond. And when we're relaxed, what happens is, during the relaxation process, we're opening up that nervous system. And you might be thinking, well, what the hell do I need my nervous system for in a scene? And we need that because it's that what sends the messages to us to tell us that we've got an impulse in a scene. And that impulse is an urge to do something. It's a feeling. Now, what we're aiming for as actors is for that to come out unconsciously. So we're not even thinking about it. We're just unconsciously responding to these creative impulses and what's going on around us. But at first, that can be a little bit difficult. So we want to open up that nervous system so it can tell us when we've got a creative impulse, and we have the choice to then act upon it or ignore it. We can do what we want as actors. We've always got choice. So we spend an hour relaxing because we have to get our mind focused. We really have to get that focused, and we have to get in control of it, because if we don't get in control of our mind, it will control us. And I'd like you to share with me, just type in the comments box below, when your minds took over in a scene and when you've not been in the moment in a scene. So I'll give you some examples. It could be that you've been in a scene and you've been thinking about how you're going to say the next line, or you've just delivered a line and in your head you're thinking, oh shit, I said that wrong, I should have said it this way. So that's an example of your mind taking control and of you not being in the moment. So give me, just write in the comments box a time when your minds took control in a scene and you have not been in the moment. And don't be ashamed about writing this, because all actors experience this. We're all human, nobody's perfect. So as I'm just waiting for those comments to come through, I'll just carry on. Now, we can also start preempting reactions. This is when our mind is taking control and when we're not relaxed. So we'll give you a couple of examples of when I've done that. Oh, okay. So when I was at drama school, in scenes where, I don't know, say for example, someone's going to be knocking on a door and I have to go and answer the door, that's when I would start preempting the reaction, because in my head I'd be saying, well, I already know who's behind that door and I know what I'm supposed to respond like. So then I'd be trying to respond to that reaction before I've even opened the door. I'm already there with the door open before I've even physically opened it. Or another example is when like opening a present in a scene and you already know what the gift is inside. So in my head, I'm already responding to that because I already know what that gift is. And obviously that takes you out of the moment as an actor. And what it also does is it spoils the illusion for your audience. It breaks that magic for them, because then they know that, oh, this is acting, it's not real. And they want to believe in the make-believe. They want to be there with you living this story. So when you're not living the story, neither are your audience. Okay, so if you have got any examples of when your minds took over in a scene and you've been preempting reactions, then do pop them in the comments box below. So before I share these two absolutely amazing tips with you, where does this come from? Why do we preempt reactions before they've happened? Like, why can't we just be like animals and just live moment to moment? Well, it's all rooted in fear, believe it or not. So it's different for every single actor because we're all individuals, okay? And we've all had different upbringings, different experiences through our lives. We've been conditioned in different ways, but it has essentially got its roots in fear. So it could be fear of getting judged, fear of not being good enough, fear of getting it right, believe it or not. I know that sounds a little bit contradictory, but yeah, fear of getting it right. So fear is where this preempting comes from. And what we're doing in our minds is we're playing that fear in our head before we've got to that response, and we're living that response in our head before it's actually needed. And so that's why we preempt and we become a little Mystic Meg in scenes, which is, it's not great, is it? Because as I've already said, we are breaking that illusion for our audience. So Jackie says, got caught out when scene partner didn't respond as I expected, which meant my response to that didn't fit or make sense. Then I realised I'd preempted. Oh, yes, absolutely. Now, this happens for so many actors. So we're just basically running on autopilot. This is what starts to happen. We can run on autopilot, especially if we've done this scene 1,000,001 times. So if on stage you've had a long run of something, and you know you're like halfway through the run, you can start to work on autopilot, and the same can happen on film as well. So if you're having to do a take over and over again, you can start to settle into autopilot, which means we're not living in the moment. So what we're doing in that instance, Jackie, is not listening. And don't worry, because loads of actors do this. You're not alone. I know I've done that as well. But again, it is rooted in that fear. And it's because you're not relaxed. That's what it is. So that's why at our studios in Sheffield, we spend a full hour before we do anything, before we do any acting exercises, before we do any scenes, we spend a full hour relaxing so we can get our mind and our body communicating and in the present moment. And that's what our relaxation is all about. And if you follow this page regularly, you'll see that I sometimes put pictures up of some of our actors doing various exercises. And the other day, I put a picture up of a few of our actors relaxing, and somebody commented saying, "Oh, that's not a very good position to be sat in a chair," which I agree with. It looks like it isn't, and it wouldn't be if you were holding that position for a long time. But what these actors are doing in that hour is getting their mind and their body to communicate together, so they're not sat still. And if you've ever done the methods relaxation before, it does feel a little bit weird at first, and it can definitely look weird if you watch people doing it and you're just like, my God, this is bonkers what they're actually doing. But it is so, so, so powerful. So even though this is not one of my 2 tips that I'm going to share with you, what you do need to be doing before any scene, before any rehearsal, before any audition is getting yourself relaxed. And that means mentally relaxed, because your mind and body do communicate with each other. Whatever goes off in your mind is reflected in your body. So in that case, Jackie, I would just say that you weren't relaxed, and yeah, you were just living in autopilot. But don't worry about it, because I'm going to give you 2 fabulous tips. So let me tell you about my student then, Natalia. She's been doing one-to-one sessions with me, and she likes to go into a scene, or she did, with an idea of how the scene should be played out. And you know, for me, I keep saying to her, but that's not living in the moment. You're pre-planning it before you've even got into the scene, which can lead to preempting responses. So what I've done is I've given her this Meisner exercise to do, and oh my gosh, her acting these last 2 sessions has become absolutely sensational. I gave her a very, very challenging scene to do 2 weeks ago. I decided upon the given circumstances. We together worked out what her need was, what her motivation was, what was at stake, a relationship to a scene partner and everything in the scene. So all the props, although I don't like calling them props, because then again, it takes us out of that moment. And I just kept saying to her, Natalia, stop preempting, stop deciding what you're going to do in the scene, stop pre-planning, because you have no idea what I'm going to bring to this scene. Obviously, because she's doing a one-to-one session, she has to work with me. I said, so if you've no idea what I'm going to bring to this scene, you can't preempt anything, you can't pre-plan, because what I do might stand in the way of what you're going to do, and you've got to work around me to still try and achieve your need. And this is what should be happening in scenes, guys. It should be that you don't know what your scene partner's going to do. You've no idea, because they've got their own agenda, the same way you've got your own agenda in the scene. And this is where conflict arises. You can get internal conflict within yourself and conflict between the two of you. And that's where the magic starts to happen. So anyway, she stopped preempting, and she had to stop preempting because she had no idea what I was going to do, as I've just said. And wow, this scene was absolutely amazing. What she was offering me was fantastic. It was so powerful. There was so much going on in her body, so much going on in her eyes, so much for me to work with. Now, because she was offering me all these gifts, because she was in the moment, wasn't preempting, she was completely relaxed, completely laser focused, it gave me so much to work with. And because she'd offered me these gifts, I could then respond in the moment, not preempting, because I didn't know what she was going to do, and I would give her something back. And it just starts to build. So she gives me something, I do something with that because I've always got a choice, then I give her something back, she does something with that, decides what she's going to do, gives me something back, and then we've got this backwards and forwards, and it's almost like a tennis match, and it is so exciting. And what tends to happen when this is happening, guys, in the scene, when you're going back and forth like that, you forget about the audience, you forget about any issues that you've got in your mind, you forget about how things should be going, how you believe they should be going in your mind, you forget about everything, and you become so completely immersed and invested in each moment because your mind believes that you're living through these imaginary given circumstances, and it is just so exciting. And that's when you come out of the scene and you've got all that adrenaline rushing and you're absolutely buzzing, and acting becomes a little bit addicting, and you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to go back in and do that scene again. So what was this one tip that I gave Natalia then? Well, it was a Meisner tip. So if you start to preempt a scene, or you're getting stuck in autopilot, or you're thinking about the moment that's just happened before and how either it went right or it didn't go right or you should have done it differently, what I would like you to do is be aware that you're preempting. Just be aware of it firstly. You've got to do that to know that you're even doing it. And then I want you to take the attention off of yourself, because this is when we start preempting, when we're focusing on ourselves. I want you to take the attention off, and I want you to place it on your scene partner. So you're not thinking about you anymore, you're thinking about your scene partner, and you are taking in everything they're doing. So this works so well because Sanford Meisner understood that actors become self-conscious, which they do. And I myself have become self-conscious, you know, during scenes, on stage, on set, wherever. And it's only normal for that to happen. So when you place your attention on your scene partner, well, what do you actually want to be looking for? Has anybody got any idea what you might be looking for? If you don't, just put, I don't know, in the comments box below. And if you want to take a guess, just write what your guess is in the comments box below. I'll just take a little swig of water whilst I wait for those comments to come through. So you're guessing what you would be, you're placing your attention on your scene partner, but what is it that you're looking for in your scene partner? That's what we're going to take a guess at, and then I'll tell you afterwards. So there can be a slight delay on Facebook. If you don't know, just type in I don't know. Don't be ashamed to write that. And I will just wait for these to come through. So hopefully some of you are going to have a little guess. But whilst I'm just waiting, this tip is, oh gosh, it just does so much for your acting. It takes you out of your head. It makes you completely in the moment. You can't preempt anything. And then what it also does is it brings life back into the scene. So then your scene partner sees something new and fresh in you. And that can be a bit of a problem when, you know, when we've been doing a scene for a very long time, or when we've been doing a long run of something, it ceases to be fresh anymore because we know what's coming up. We can sometimes stop living in the moment. Okay, so it doesn't look like anybody's going to be guessing, and that's okay. So this is what you need to be looking out for. When you're placing your attention on your scene partner, you need to be observing their behaviour, okay? Their behaviour. Ah, Rachel's just commented their gifts, where their focus is. Yeah, so you want to be focusing on their behaviour firstly. So what are they doing behaviour-wise? Even things like scratching, that's behaviour. You know, avoiding eye contact, that's behaviour, or giving you intense eye contact, that's behaviour, or, you know, whatever they're doing with their body, that is behaviour. That's what you want to be watching for. Now, you can also be looking in their eyes, because the eyes are the gateway to the soul. Remember, they tell you the absolute truth when the body is not telling you the truth, or when the words are not telling you the truth. So look in their eyes. What can you see going on? What are their eyes telling you? What stories are their eyes telling you? So when you're looking at both their eyes and their behaviour, their physical behaviour, you start to find things to work with, so you can start responding to their behaviour. Now, that will shake the scene up, because you'll be offering something different to what you've offered before. And then hopefully, if your scene partner's not been in the moment, they will go, oh, hang on a minute, they've done something a little bit different, and they have to respond to you as well. And that's where you get that back and forth, like that tennis match. So does that make sense, guys? If it does, just pop a yes in the comments box. If it doesn't, just ask me to clarify or explain anything more. I want to make sure that you guys go away fully understanding this tip and able to use it away from here in your next scenes. So if it does make sense, pop a big yes in the comments box. And whilst I'm waiting for hopefully those yeses to come in, just want to let you know that if you haven't already downloaded my ebook, you can download that. What I'm going to be doing next week alongside the ebook is taking some of those tips out of it, and there's a 3-day method acting drill for all you guys to participate in. It's a bit like a challenge. It's completely free of charge. You don't have to pay anything. So whilst I'm waiting for those yeses, I will pop the link to the ebook into the comments box. So if you want to download that, it's worth 15 quid, but it's completely free of charge. And you can participate in that 3-day method acting drill as well for free, where you basically get to work with me. Okay, so there's probably a bit of a delay on this, or you're not understanding the tip, so I'll explain it again just in case you're not. So you're placing your attention on your scene partner, you're observing their body language, their behaviour, and you're also observing what's going on in their eyes, the stories their eyes are telling you, and then you respond to that. Okay. Jackie says, kicking myself. Yes, noticing little changes in the scene partner. Absolutely. Because that is the truth. It is the truth right there in that moment from your perspective. Whatever they are giving you is the truth. And that's what you want to be responding to, regardless of what the lines are. You know, sometimes as actors, we get so bogged down in lines and they hold us back. But as Sanford Meisner said, an ounce of behaviour is worth a pound of words. You know, it's that behaviour we want to be finding as actors, but we can only find that when we know where to place our attention. So our scene partner becomes our object of attention. Okay, so what is this next tip then? This one comes from Lee Strasberg. And it is so simple. Some of you will have heard of it before. And it's just absolutely amazing for getting you back in the present moment and just refocusing your mind very, very quickly. So I used this technique on stage one time where there was a long period of time where I didn't have anything to say, and I knew what my need was, but for some reason on this one particular night, I just lost focus, and I started to notice the audience, and I was like, oh shit, and I could see all their faces in the front row, and I was like, this is not good. I need to take my attention away from them, because the audience had become my object of attention. Now we can land ourselves in murky waters when our audience becomes our object of attention. And this is where some of our fears can start coming to the forefront, like, am I doing good enough? Are they engaged? Are they finding what I'm doing interesting? And then before we know it, we're well and truly out of the moment, can be missing our cues, missing responses from our scene partners, and the scene can go completely tits up, to put it bluntly. So this is what I did. Very, very simple exercise. You give yourself a sum. Make it quite challenging, not too challenging that you'd never be able to answer it, but challenging enough that you're not going to answer it within like the next second. Because what that does is it takes your attention away from that audience or away from wherever it's gone to when you've lost focus, places you back in the moment, gives you something to figure out, something to do. And then you can get yourself back into the scene. Now, the only thing with this is, you know, if you've given yourself something that's so challenging to do, you don't want to be so focused on that you do miss everything. There's got to be a part of your attention that is still on the scene, what's going on, what's been said, and the behaviour whilst you're figuring this out. What it does is it gives you complete depth. It looks like there's something going on inside, which obviously there is, because you're trying to figure out a sum. And if you're anything like me, I'm absolutely rubbish at maths, really bad. So this is a good one for me. So yeah, it looks like there's depth. Now, when I was on stage and I was figuring out this sum, I did have my attention split, so on the sum and what was going on, and it took my attention away from that audience, and before I knew it, I was back in the moment, in that scene, and the scene just continued. And you know, I started to find some new moments as well. I started to play more because I've made it more interesting for myself now. Now, when I got off stage, my director came up to me and she was like, "Oh my God, you are fascinating on stage." She said, "I just couldn't take my eyes off of you. I had no idea what you were going to do next. It was absolutely amazing. Just couldn't stop watching you." And in my head, I was going, if only you'd known what I'd done or was doing. But it just proves that it works. Okay, so does this tip make sense? And have you got any questions around it as well? So if it makes sense, just say yes in the comments box. If it doesn't, ask me a question so I can clarify it for you. And if you want me to expand any more on it, or you've got any questions around either this tip or the other one, then just pop them in the comments box. And again, just to let you know, if you do want to download my ebook, it's completely free. Just click the link that I've popped. I'll see if I can pin it now, actually, whilst I wait for those comments. Oh, yes, I can. I nearly deleted it. That's not good. Oh, thank you for the like, whoever gave that. So I've pinned it at the top. You can download my free ebook there. You will then be asked to join our secret standby method acting army, where we will be doing the free 3-day method acting drill, which is going to be so exciting. You get to work with me for free, you don't have to pay anything, which is always a bonus. And we're going to put some of those tips to use from that ebook to make sure you're using them and to make sure your performance skills, you know, go up a level. This is what it's all about. Jackie, yes, great tip. It really is, honestly, Jackie. I can't tell you how simple it is, but how effective it is. It just gives your acting so much more spark, so much more depth, because the audience literally have no idea what's going on. And that's when they become engaged, when they can't figure something out, and when they want to know what's going on. So those are your 2 tips, your 2 method acting tips, one from Meisner, one from Strasbourg. They've worked absolutely wonders for me. They've worked wonders for my students. You know, maybe if you're watching, you might have already known these tips. I might not be teaching you anything new, but it is always good to refresh yourself, because what happens is, as actors, when we're not practicing our craft regularly, or we're not reminding ourselves of these tips, we go back to what I call a default setting of acting. And this is when our bad habits come back out. It's our sort of safety net. It's where we go back to when we're not using the technique or the craft as we should be doing. So just refreshing yourself on these and using these tips over and over again will make them become second nature. So eventually your acting will come from the unconscious, which is what we want. But remember, for that to happen, you've got to be relaxed first. So do spend a good amount of time relaxing before you do any audition, any scene, any rehearsal, any take, anything basically. So guys, that's almost the 30 minutes up. Has this been useful for you? Let me know in the comments box. Just say yes, hell yes, give me a like, give me a love, whatever. Just respond in some way so that I know that this has been useful for you. And if you would like me to continue doing these videos on a weekly basis, let me know if you found it to be of value. Because if you have, I will keep doing these videos every single week for you. Because my aim is that you have a solid technique underneath you to be able to overcome and conquer all of the obstacles that are thrown your way in scenes, in auditions, wherever. Rachel, yep, she says, or yup even, so she's found this useful. Fab, Rachel, I will definitely keep doing these videos for you then. So yeah, just very quickly then, if you want to download my ebook, I've pinned the link at the top. You can download that, it's free of charge. There's absolutely loads and loads of practical tips in there. It's not an ebook that says, oh, you know, this is what you should be doing, but I don't tell you how to do it. Yes, I tell you how to actually do everything. Loads of practical tips that you can be using for your acting to help you crack the code with characters, help you crack the code with the business side of the industry as well. Yep, there's loads of tips in there on that. You also get to be part of our Standby Method Acting Army and take part in the 3-day free method acting drill. God, that was a bit of a tongue twister, wasn't it? So guys, have an absolutely amazing Sunday. It's been brilliant working with you this morning. Jackie says, buffering. Yes. Oh, sorry, that's probably my internet, Jackie. That's not brilliant. I told you at the beginning we had a few techie issues getting on time. Leandro says, morning. It's nice to see you. So yeah, you can download that ebook for free. The link is at the top of the page. And because you've enjoyed this, I will do you another video next week. If there's a particular subject you want me to cover, you can always send me an email. My email is louise@standbymethod.com, and I will just pop that in the comments for you very quickly. So if there's a particular subject you want me to cover, something that you're struggling with your performances, then just drop me an email. But if not, I've got loads up my sleeve anyway that I can be doing for you. So yeah, that email address is there. Do download my ebook. Well, I'm going to say it's amazing, obviously, because I've written it. But if you look on the link, there's some really good testimonials of people who've used it and how much value they found from it. And do come and join us over in that group, which the link will be emailed out to you, and take part in that 3-day method acting drill, which is completely free of charge. Okay, guys, I've gone over by nearly 2 minutes, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. Have an absolutely amazing Sunday. It's been great to work with you, and I will see you again next week. Bye.